Listen, if you're the best person in your circle, that's a bad circle. You have to identify what your blind spots are and surround yourself with people that cover those blind spots. The people that cover your blind spots are the very people that you learn from, right? So when you're an entrepreneur, you may be great and you have a great idea and you're probably good at the core of that idea, but maybe you're not great at marketing. Maybe you're not great at sales. Maybe you're not great at operations. There's certain things about business that you're not going to be great at. And the question becomes, have you surrounded yourself with people that are great in the areas where you are not?
Welcome to a new episode of Business Meets Life. And today we're traveling all the way to Michigan, the United States. I've had the pleasure to get to know Dr. Shawn Fair in Hong Kong last week.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome Dr. Shawn Fair to the stage.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Everybody doing pretty good? So, I've been tasked to talk about your business and as a guide for your direction. And the question that I have for everyone is that do you have a vision that is expansive enough that when someone reads it, they're able to see themselves in it?
He won an award. He was the keynote speaker. I was so wowed when listening to his wonderful speech. Shawn, how have you been? And congratulations to the award again.
Man, I've been doing really, really, really well. You know, adjusting 12 hours obviously is always a little bit of a task, but nonetheless, I'm doing really well and enjoyed meeting you and a lot of other pros and experts last week in Hong Kong. And we've been doing podcasts and some collaborations, and a lot of great things have been coming from that event.
Nice. I mean, you're like one of the number one trainers and leadership experts and public speakers, not only in the USA. Have you ever been to Hong Kong before or given any speeches in China before where I usually live?
No, it's my very first time. It was my very first time. So when the opportunity presented itself, it was a no-brainer,
Mhm.
right? So I was looking forward to seeing the country, understanding the culture, but also just meeting a lot of different people from different places was exciting to me.
Yes, we had over 40 different countries in the room. I'd love to tell you, like, please tell us a little bit more for all the listeners here. How have you come all the way from being like one of the number one leadership trainers, coaches in the US and in the world? How have you made it?
Well, that's a long story, Janine, but I'll try to make this short for you. Um, it really started back in 1996 when I was a salesperson. You
Mhm.
know, when you're a salesperson, you're constantly delivering presentations to your target audience, right? Which is the client. And
Mhm.
so delivering presentations over and over and over again, I started to develop a true skill set.
Yeah.
And as I rose up the corporate ladder from salesperson to sales manager to sales director to the vice president of sales, there was one thing that I was doing and I was always training people on how to sell. So
Mhm.
the second half of my career, I became the vice president of training for a division of AT&T, the vice president of training
Oh,
for a division of T-Mobile, and the
great.
vice president of training for the largest textile restoration company in the world, which is called CRDN. After which, I started my own consulting firm called the Fair Consulting Group, where I train mid-level managers and executive leaders, not only here in the United States, but abroad.
Mhm. That's impressive. So, a lot of people, especially coaches and trainers who basically become self employed, they might be amazing as a coach and trainer in that profession. However, they might not know about sales, about how to market themselves, how to run and scale a business. what would be your number one advice for anybody on how to tackle sales? I know it's a broad field, but it's a big fear for many people out there.
Well, if you wanted to be great at sales, then you have to be great at asking the right questions. Selling is not telling folks what it is that you have and what you think that they need. It is about you asking the right questions to help your target audience come to the realization that they have a particular problem and your product is the answer to it. So in other words, I'm asking questions to get my prospect to tell me that they need something that I have versus me telling them that I have a product that they need. That is a totally different concept. And when you can master that, right, you'll find that people will actually buy from you. People like to talk. When salespeople are doing most of the talking, it's a horrible way to sell a product. But when you can get your customer, your prospect to talk to you, to tell you what their challenges are, that is the best way to sell. So helping them to identify what their problems are and getting them to tell you what those problems are, and then asking them questions to help you better understand how their problems impact their business, either financially or through time or emotionally, helps them to truly want to purchase your services now.
Thank you for sharing this. Guys, please start implementing what you have just learned with Dr. Shawn. I think you have come up with a very wonderful way on not only support your B2B corporate clients through your trainings, but also you've started to come up with like experience tours, different kind of like conference formats where you can really like help your clients to get to the next level. Would you mind sharing a little bit more with us about like the upcoming leadership experience tour and these other ways on how you get your clients from your stage to the next level?
Well, we really truly pride ourselves in helping speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs expose their brand to the highest level. And so the Leadership Experience Tour is a platform that allows those three segments to come in and document what value they bring to society through the product or the service that they have to offer. And so we rent out the entire Michigan State University Convention Center, and we have all of these different rooms with TV cameras and different television sets that our speakers can get on the set and be interviewed by professional interviewers. And we're asking them very specific questions so that their audience can understand why they want to do business with them. So, for example, one of the questions is, what value does your organization bring to society? What unique position does your platform have in today's marketplace? Why would this particular person want to do business with you? And we help them explain those things in great detail. We document it with the cameras, and then we chop up all of that content into 45 to 1 minute and 15-second bites so they can push that information out on social media so people can truly understand why they should connect with that individual. And it's done, right, by getting on camera, that's TV quality cameras, so that people understand that you're a real professional.
That's amazing. And guys, look at this beautiful ticket that I have here from his wonderful upcoming tour. That's exciting. I think everybody nowadays really needs to learn to not have the fear of being in front of camera. As a public speaker, leadership trainer myself, I feel like so many people have that fear. Just recently, I've been in Sydney for a couple of weeks. I've asked a few people, hey, can I interview you for my podcast? Dr. Shawn immediately said, yes, of course, which was amazing. Thank you for that. But then here, even people like gym trainers, like people I look up to, many of them were very shy or said like, oh, but I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to be this or that, and gave me a no towards the end. So I think it's great that you help leaders, get to the next level here. Tell us about the Miss America project that is coming up, and how have you been able to work, like make this happen? I mean, this is like about Miss America, right?
Yeah, so, I've only been involved in this for like the past 9 months. The platform is owned by a young lady named Anissa King. She's the founder. It's been around for the past 17 years. And generally, they have about 25 women from the corporate space or in the military space or the nonprofit business space, those that have brought real value to their organizations. There's this platform that allows them to showcase their talents in front of a massive number of people so that they can expose their brand. They can expose who they are, right? They can take their branding to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had reached out to me about being a partner because they really wanted to expand the platform. So it used to be this one big national event one time a year. But when I came on board, what I decided to do was to bring on state presidents across the country to have state competitions that would then identify winners for our national competition.
Yeah.
And so that way we can get real exposure across the country. And so now we have these ladies competing against one another about their brands, about what they've accomplished, all the things that really make who they are as an individual. And we spotlight that, right? Not only on television, but also a big show that's in Orlando, Florida. And if they're the winner of this competition, number one, they get a huge cash prize. Number two, they get invited to speak on huge platforms across the country. And number three, they get a chance to be a part of the Leadership Experience Tour, and they represent all of the queens across the country. And it's just a wonderful and exciting thing to be a part of. It's all about exposing their brands to the highest level and letting the nation know all the things that they've accomplished as a woman in the environments that they've resided in for many, many years.
Wow, that sounds exciting. We'll definitely make sure for our podcast listeners, we have the links to all of his upcoming events here. Now, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's the vision, the mission, or any upcoming goals that you are striving towards? Because you have already achieved so much, but that's not the end.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we do again with the Leadership Experience Tour is to document all of our clients' products and services and all the things that they offer. But now what we're doing is we are opening up different stages and different platforms for them to be a part of. So, every speaker wants to be on stage on a consistent basis.
Yes.
Right. So we give them the footage where they can apply for paid speaking opportunities, and they have to do the work from that standpoint. But now what we're doing is we're building relationships with many stages across the country so that they don't even have to apply anymore. They come to the tour and we recommend the speakers to the other platforms, and we make life easy for them. We get them on the stage without them having to do a lot of work to get on those stages. Now, in some cases, they have to pay to get on those stages, but those stages equals new contracts. And so we've had some really great success with that. And so we have about 10 great relationships now, but we're looking to add another 15 to 20 new stages to our platform to make life even easier for our speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs.
Let me know in case you need any collaborations here for China. I'm happy to support you on this. In which other countries? Because our audience here is very global. We have people from North America, Europe, but also like from Asia, Oceania, listening to this. Where can they get to meet you and experience your work?
Well, our hub is in Troy, Michigan. It's a suburb of Detroit, and that's where our big show is at this point. But we also have a sister organization in London. And Faru Begum is the founder of the Aspire Her conference, which is kind of a spin-off of the Leadership Experience Tour. And so we have London, and we have a lot of folks from the US that's flying there, right, to be a part of that program. And so that's one area that we have a major focus. And believe it or not, Budapest is on our bucket list to go to. So I have people that's in my coaching program that are from different countries, and we are encouraging them to have signature events within their countries. And our Leadership Experience Tour becomes a supporter of those events. And we help to put people and butts in the seats at those events. And so that is the way that we're going to expand moving forward.
That's exciting. Yeah, Budapest. Good. So, well, maybe China's up next. Let's see. Never say
Well,
never.
Janine, we're all about collaboration. If you would like to do something with us there, we'd be more than happy to come over there. The one thing I will say is that we had about 12 people from the Leadership Experience Tour come to that particular event in Hong Kong. They absolutely enjoyed it. And I can't tell you how many people in our network says, when will the next one be? Well, I know the Flux Award probably won't be there for some time and they're making their rounds, but it doesn't mean that we can't do something over in China. We just need a person to help us head it up over there, and maybe that person might be you.
Exactly. That's why I love the power of podcasting, because suddenly these wonderful, flourishing new collaborations are popping up no matter where you are living in the world. So for entrepreneurs, we usually say fail fast so that you can learn from your mistakes. What has been a failure, or maybe you wouldn't even call it a failure, but something that didn't work out the way how you wanted it to be, but it actually really shaped on who you are today?
Yeah, when it comes to business, Janine, I've never had a fear of failing. Right? Like, it's not something that really crossed my mind. When I got into entrepreneurship, I knew for a fact that I was going to be very successful at this, right? If you're an entrepreneur, when you're jumping into this, you have to have a level of confidence that says that failure is not an option. Now, let me tell you the flip side to that. I did have a fear of failing. My fear was that my success wouldn't happen within the time frame that I needed to happen. Right. And those are two different things. That fear is a positive fear because that fear allows me to move at a pace that puts me in the best possible position to win. That most people's fear is not fear of failing in most cases. It's the fear that I can't get to where I need to be within the time frame that I need to be, because most entrepreneurs, the number one thing that they're most concerned about is what? It's the finances. It is the finances. I'm taking this leap. I have a certain amount of income to work with. Once that runs out, it puts me in a very compromising position to either go back to work or shut this business down. Right. So I just encourage anyone that's an entrepreneur, number one, have irrational confidence. In other words, that if I do this, there is no turning back because I know that I'm going to win. But number two, understand there is a time frame in which you need to be successful. Understand what that time frame is and run at a pace where you meet that deadline, right? That is absolutely critical.
Can you please share with us some of your advice? What are some habits that really keep you at your best? Because we all have self-doubt, self-belief hitting us at specific times of our life. And I met you as a very confident, very skillful, resourceful person in Hong Kong. How do you stay at your best?
You have to surround yourself with the best people. If you're the best person in your circle, that's a bad circle. In other words, I should be striving for greatness, but if I'm not around greatness, then you'll find that what you're reaching for is going to be very minimal, right? You have to identify what your blind spots are and surround yourself with people that cover those blind spots. The people that cover your blind spots are the very people that you learn from. Right. So when you're an entrepreneur, you may be great and you have a great idea and you're probably good at the core of that idea, but maybe you're not great at marketing. Maybe you're not great at sales. Maybe you're not great at operations. There's certain things about business that you're not going to be great at. And the question becomes, have you surrounded yourself with people that are great in the areas where you are not? And if you surround yourself around those people, you'll find that you're always striving and reaching in those areas where you're most vulnerable.
Mm. Who are your mentors, coaches, or trainers that continue with you on your path?
John Maxwell, which is one of the leading leadership experts in the world, is someone that I've admired and someone I've looked up to and someone that I've modeled and patterned my business off of. Going back to his not his first conference, but his second conference, I was there at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, understand that when I went to his conference, I wanted to understand how to build and grow a speaking business, because that's the business that he's in. But I also wanted to understand, what didn't he do for speakers? Because what didn't he do was the part I was most interested in. In other words, I understood there was a void that needed to be filled. And what John did, John gave you all of the content that was necessary to build your business. So if you struggle with content, he would give you a lot of content, and he'll give you some strategies to go out and get the business. But the one thing that he didn't do is that he didn't put speakers on stages. And so that was the area that I wanted my focus to be, is to put the speakers on stages and document the speakers, because that's where most speakers have challenges.
Absolutely. You're a very public figure. I love your YouTube channel, by the way, and you're super active on LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on. Can you share with us one thing that people might not know about you yet?
I'm an introvert.
Are you?
Most people think that I'm an extrovert, and it's the furthest thing from the truth. I do well in public, and I do well on stages and things of that nature. But when I'm done, the only thing that I really want to do is just go to my room and just relax and to get away from people. I think that, as an entrepreneur, you're always on. Janine, I know you know this. You're right. You have to be on when you're in front of people all the time, because this is the business that I'm in.
Yeah, it takes
And
a lot of energy.
a lot of energy that's being demonstrated and is being displayed and being given off. And at some point in time, you got to turn the lights off, right? And sometimes that can be very difficult, but you got to recharge. So a lot of times at the tour, right, I'm on the stages, I'm dealing with a lot of people, but when that day is over with, right, and everyone else is hanging out, generally I'm in the room, right? So most people have no idea that I'm an introvert, and why would he even be in this business if he's an introvert? But that is one thing that most people don't know about me.
And I think this is a wonderful proof again, when people say, they make these excuses. Oh, I'm an introvert, I can't be good in sales. I'm an introvert, I can't be good as a public speaker, right? But again, you are the proof that no matter what excuse you have, forget about it and just do it. You can learn any skill. Now, the question is, at the end of a day, when you are drained, how do you recharge your battery, like with the phone?
Well, you got to find the things that you really enjoy. Whether it's listening to music. The one thing that I do like to do, even though this is a very public thing, like I go and play basketball every day, every morning. Right.
Okay.
So right at 8:30, I go and I play about 2 or 3 games of basketball. I enjoy that. It recharges, it re-energizes me. Right. Taking a nap in the middle of the day. Right? It energizes me, it recharges me. So you got to think about your recharging systems and make sure that those things are in place and they're easily accessible. And when you have that system, right, that's the very thing that keeps you going. Because just remember, as a speaker, as a coach, you're always giving. You're always giving. Right. So that means that you're being drained. And you got to have something or somebody that is putting back into you so that you can continue to give at a high level.
Absolutely. If you could work with anybody in the world and you could choose, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. And when you ask me this question, when you say work with, you mean like collaborate with?
Collaborate with, for example, like for me, for example, would be Oprah, to be honest.
You know, I've never really thought about it. It's a good question. I've never really thought about it, because in my mind, I'm always thinking about I'm the one that would want people to collaborate with. And so
Yes.
I've always built from that standpoint, but since you're gonna put me on the spot like that, right, let me just think for a second.
Yeah, take your
I,
time.
I, I wouldn't mind. The one thing I wouldn't mind is being on stage with John Maxwell. That's kind of a given, right? I
Yes.
wouldn't mind being on stage with him. I've met him on several different occasions, but I've never been on the same stage with him. That would be an honor. I believe John is maybe 82 years old,
Mhm.
so he still looks good. He still sounds good, but he's on the back end of everything. So that would be a real honor if that was able to happen.
So, well, maybe the universe can manifest it, God, whoever is out there. Yes. What is like a book or a podcast that you think is like that everybody needs to read, or that every entrepreneur or leader needs to listen to or read?
The 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth by John Maxwell. I think it's
Mhm.
a book that every person needs to read because it's about self-development,
Mhm.
right? It's about self, leadership. It's very difficult to lead other people, especially like when you're in my industry, if you struggle with leading self, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, everyone is really evaluating me and what I do and how I do it on a regular basis. And knowing that fact, I'm very mindful of what I communicate to folks, how I communicate to folks, right? What I'm trying to execute, how I'm trying to execute it, because people are taking notice and they're trying to follow in the footsteps. But you also have other people that think the opposite, and they're looking for an opportunity, right, to take you down into a very negative manner as well, right?
Mhm.
So that book really helps you to understand what you need to do to grow in every area of life and also in business. The 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth by John Maxwell. Now, the other book that I'm going to recommend
Mhm.
is Effective Leadership: The Antidote to Corporate Dysfunction. Right? It is
Mhm.
a book that helps you to understand how to conform your leadership style to meet the needs of every individual that works for you. And it talks about the 5 most critical attributes of a leader: lead by example, trustworthiness, mutual respect, praising people when they go above and beyond their job description, and experience in understanding people. Now, that book is written by a great young man. His name is Shawn Fair. Right? It's a great book to read.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Um, I would love to know what has been the best leadership advice you have ever received by John Maxwell or anybody else.
The best thing is I'm going to use just one word. It's trustworthiness. Uh,
Trustworthiness.
that's the word, because um, it's important that you do what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
Right? People are going to connect with you, um, and they're going to connect with you because they're looking at your track record. Right. So the question is, how can I tell and lead others if I'm not able to do the things that I say that I can do?
Yeah.
No one's going to follow me. Right. No one's going to listen to me. But if I can execute the things that I say that I'm going to do, it is a great reason for those that are watching to want to connect with me. Trustworthiness is a connection point, right,
Yeah.
for great leadership and also great fellowship.
Absolutely. And I also got to say, you're a very good storyteller. I think like the way how you gave that 50-minute keynote speech by telling that story, about like buying a potential like Mercedes Benz and ending up nearly with a Lexus, things like this. You are connecting with so many people of this international crowd in the room in Hong Kong. It was so impressive. So one of my nicknames since school is actually Genie. And now my newest company is called Podcast Genie Marketing because we produce podcasts. And being a genie, you could basically make a wish. If you could make a wish, what would you want Genie to fulfill?
One thing that we've talked about over the past 6 months is to have like this group of amazing podcasters at our event. Mm-hmm. And we would like our speakers to be interviewed by, like 10, 15, really great podcasters while they're doing these video interviews, as well as something that we wanted to add to the Leadership Experience Tour. And we came up with this idea because we do this whole big thing at the Super Bowl it's called Super Bowl Media Week. And there's 316 media outlets and podcasters, and the players and entrepreneurs like myself, we get a chance to get interviewed by those individuals and to put all of them into one room and to get exposure from the podcasters and all of these different media networks, all in one shot, is something that we would like to recreate at the Leadership Experience Tour. So maybe you can help us do that. We were literally just talking about this just recently.
I love it. And it's so funny. I was literally just thinking about this and also spoke it out loud just 1 or 2 weeks ago.
And we think there's revenue in it for the podcasters for something like this, but it would be a great experience for the speakers because I am a big believer in content.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I know it's Friday evening. What? It's like 8:15 p.m. for you now? Friday night, nearly?
8:10.
Okay. How are you going to spend your weekend?
I'm packing. I'm packing and preparing. On Sunday, I leave out to Atlanta. I have an HBCU speaking tour. We got Martin Luther King III is going to be a big part of that event. Remy Martin is also one of the sponsors. Mental Mania is the organization that's putting on the event, and Dr. Cheryl Monroe and Tandra Price from Tap In Magazine. We got over 500 students and executive leaders from different organizations, and counselors and deans of different schools are going to all be there, listening to speakers from the tour, and other speakers come in, talk about mental health, ADHD, different traumas, and also talk about business leadership. Yeah. And so I'll be there from Sunday till Tuesday. And on Tuesday night, I head over to Denver, and I will be doing a leadership presentation for Liberty Energy. They're the largest fracking company in the country. And so they have about 70 managers that's coming in for that. And then I'll be there for 2 days. And then I head over to Orlando for the big national Miss Corporate America competition. And so I'm really just getting prepared, over these next couple of days for those 3 events that are back to back to back. Oh, not to mention, Janine, it is Father's Day on Sunday. I'll be traveling, but on Saturday, I will be taking my dad and my mom out to eat. So looking forward to that.
Happy Father's Day. Well, in Germany, Father's Day happened a tiny bit earlier, but that's beautiful. Best wishes to your parents. All the best for your tour. And guys, if you love today's session, sharing is caring, right? Follow Dr. Shawn Fair, like for everybody who's in North America or wants to fly into London or to the US, join his tours. Shawn, last words from you to our audience in the East and in the West.
It's very simple. Focus on being the best version of you, right? Because that is the key to building great relationships outside of work. It's the key to building great relationships within your business. And you can't become great at anything without being the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your sharing, for your greatness. Speaking to us Friday night. All the best to you. We stay in touch. And guys, see you for the next episode. Take care.